Hey, so I just finished a couple unboxings. Maybe the last one that you saw had some Infinite Stardust plastic. That was a pretty decently sized unboxing. And so now, Latitude 64 Royal Box for this year. We're going to do a little more in-depth of an unboxing for it. And by a little more in-depth unboxing, all I basically mean is I'm going to try to figure out what the two new molds are. Because I believe there are two molds in here that are an old mold and a new plastic. And there are two new molds. Last year, it was these two bad boys. The Royal Brave and the Royal Strive. And I think kind of in a funny turn of events, neither of these are the ones that I actually got in that box. I probably ended up putting those in a mystery box at the end of last year. But these are the exact same colors, or pretty close to the ones that came in my box, and they just kind of come around. That's kind of crazy. Alright, disc golf, let's go. But the Brave and the Strive, two very popular releases from Latitude, kind of like saving graces for Latitude this year, honestly, with our trilogy in a lot of ways. But Latitude offered to send me one of these out before they're out, but today is the embargo date, meaning that I can start posting content about it, so I'll have this unboxing here. There'll also be a full review on the main channel if you want to check that out. That being said, let's get to popping this bad boy open and taking a look at it. I'm pretty excited, I'm not going to lie. I think there's going to be some sweet stuff in here. Yep, just the packing slip. Beautiful. Shout out Johanna Nace. But yeah, I'm going to cover up this feedback link just in case you don't get a box. But this is what kind of comes in the box. If you can pause that and read it if you'd like to. I'll read it and see if there's anything important. So, these are some upcoming discs for 2025. There's two completely new molds with feedback just like they did last year. It seems like one is going to be a slower disc because it's also in a putter plastic. But they have the Grand Swirl Brave. Oh, and then I was like, they have a Grand Rive as well. And the Rive is in a lighter plastic, 165 to 169, which is going to be pretty sweet. It said Royal molds are special, making them in lighter weights is easier said than done. With that said, we have already released Grace in 165 to 169. So here's the very first Rive batch in lighter weights. And then the graphic designer Niklas, which that tripped me up when I saw that on here, because I saw Niklas and I was like, are they like soft launching that they signed Niklas, which he's still on this mania for all I know. But he had fun with the designs. There are 14 different deco dies in one hot stamp. I don't quite know what that means, but we'll find out. And then there's a sweep, which is a neutral 9-speed fairway. Supposed to be a more stable version of the Saint, which the Saint is a little understable. Easy to throw, easy to manipulate flight. The Saint is also, they called it 9.7, -1.2. They have the Saint Pro, which is supposed to be the more overstable version, but that Kristen Tatar likes that one a lot. It's an 8-speed. And then the Saint is a 9-speed. Trustworthy amateur fairway driver with good distance with mangle. People always come out with amateur fairway drivers, and they always turn out to be my favorites. They're awesome. Preliminarily scheduled for release April or May. And then the prototype Peak in both Sense and Grand Plastic. It's a new putter. More stable. Preliminarily release schedule for February or March. So, shout out Linus, Oscar, and Johannes at Latitude 64. This is the Latitude box. Let's take a quick look. I want to first look at the ones that I've already had. Okay, now I know what deco dies are. So I just got one of the 15, it looks like, of these, which is kind of a sublimated, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's printed on, and that is kind of creepy and kind of awesome at the same time. I love it. I got a 169. Whenever I try to get like a 165 to 169, I always like them to be on the lighter end. So 169 still definitely lighter, but I noticed with my recent run of my Bodanza stamp in slightly lighter weight Emperors, most of them are 168 and 169, and they just are a little glidier, not more understable. So they're a little easier to throw, but they still are very overstable. So I'm interested to see how this one flies, this Rive. The feel is very good in the hand. Yeah, I do really like that a lot. And the flight plate seems to be where they took a lot of that weight out of, because the flight plate feels the most like thin out of any Royal disc that I've ever felt before, which is pretty nice because that would make it more gyroscopically stable. Kind of what MVP does is force some weight in through the overmold into the outer rim, and same thing if they take weight off the flight plate, it does something similar. Next, Grand Swirl Brave. Sometimes when swirly plastics come out, they're a little more stable, overstable, so we'll see. I do like kind of this ring. just for this. I'm really excited to film with these, man. I think I might go back to the same course that I filmed the other Royal Box at, because I haven't been there in a while. Bird's Nest, but really fun plastic. I think this might be a little more overstable than the other Brave. Just feels like it for some reason. It's a little stiffer? I don't know. And now, this is the Sweep prototype. Pretty sweet looking disc. And it does, okay, it's pretty deep looking, I'm gonna be honest with you. And it feels very comfortable, like every Royal disc, kind of the comfortable feel. It's interesting because I feel like these Royal molds have their own DNA. The Grace and the Rive are a little bit not quite the same, and then after the Grace and the Rive, they came out with Honor and Sweep, Brave, Strive, and they all have like a very similar shoulder feel, where it's like a little bit higher shoulder, but very rounded over, and so it ends up being pretty comfortable. And this feels like it's going to fly very well. And I imagine it will kind of be like a -1-1 or maybe a 0-1 disc. At 9 speed, that's a little bit of an interesting profile, but I think I can turn it and have it hold for a long time and get back to flat. I don't think it's going to be overstable, but probably, since I'm in Denver, maybe touch a hyzer, pop it up. But here's what this one looks like. Really solid profile, but very, very, very domey. I don't have a Saint to compare it to, but I know the Saint is like a little bit more understable Escape, so maybe this is similar to the Escape. The dome on this seems unreal. They really want these to be glidey drivers from what I've seen, which is why people love the Brave and the Strive. But Sweep is going to be interesting. Also an interesting name. I don't know really where it fits in the naming structure, but it's definitely fun. And now the last one. This is what I was thinking was going to happen. It's a beaded putter. So this is the Peak, which I think is a really cool name. I don't know why disc golf hasn't had that name yet for a disc, because you think of mountains, you think of peaks. Maybe that's just because I'm in Colorado. But, oh, this looks like overstable fast 3-speed. This is interesting as well. Check out that mold. Here, I'll zoom you in a little bit. But check this out. It seems like it's a pretty interesting, it's a little blunt, and got a little baby bead at the bottom. Yeah, almost more micro bead than normal bead. And it does look, it looks like a fast putter that they just put a bead on. It looks almost like maybe they added a bead to a Pure. The Pure might be a little more rounded over. Oh, and I picked the same color one. Whoops. Nope, that looks pretty much like what they did to it. Wow, that's actually eerily similar. Those two discs are very, very, very similar. Switch to the side so you can see again. Maybe this is a little blockier, the new prototype Peak, but the discs are pretty comparable. The only thing is maybe this like bottom bevel. No, wow, it does look like it's just a Pure with a bead, which, I mean, hey, they probably looked at the success of like the Kratos and the Luna, and they're like, hey, we can do that. We could put a bead on a Pure. And then they made it for their Royal machine. So this is the, I honestly don't imagine this is going to be nearly as overstable as the Kratos or as like a PA3. It might be more similar to Ganon's P2X, just because it feels very glide. It feels like all these feel like they want to just glide forever. Savior even is a 4-speed approach disc, and everything that's in this plastic is just like, I want to go far and glide a lot, which is interesting. Even the Honor, it's not that far I was flying. I guess that might be like the exception, but it does feel pretty comfortable in the hand. You can feel the bead protruding, and it's definitely a little deeper because they added the bead to something like a Pure. And yeah, I'd say they're pretty comparably comfortable, but you could tell this one has a bead on it. But I'd imagine that if the Pure is, I honestly think the Pure is almost closer to like a 0-0 disc. It's pretty neutral. Maybe -1-1 is accurate as well. I haven't thrown them in a while, but they're pretty fast flying discs, and that's the first impression that I had when this came out, was that it seemed to be a very fast 3-speed. When I think overstable putter, I think dumpy, not very glidey, 2-speed, maybe 3-speed. But I pulled this out, I was like, oh, this is like on the mid-range end of putters. Definitely still feels and looks like a putter, but I'd imagine this might be more like a 3-4-0-1 rather than a 3-3--1-1 or a 3-3-0-1 or something like that, where it's gonna, you could throw it on some anhyzer, but it's just gonna hold it and get back to flat. Honestly, probably these will have similar stabilities with their respective powers and how you throw them. This one might be a little more understable, and it does feel more understable every time I pick it up, but it's also very bladed out here. It feels like it's gonna be pretty fast, so I'm pretty intrigued with these. And then they also gave us a putting putter. And so this is what you'll get in the Royal Box this year. I'm not exactly sure how much they retail for. My guess would be $100 to $120 for 4 premium discs and 1 base disc. But this, yeah, really, this one even more so to me, since I putted with yours for a while. It looks like a pure that they added a bead on. And I think I talked about that before in some videos where I was like, man, if they could just make a pure that they added a bead with, I would like putt with that and love it. I don't think this is what I would go to. I do really like my Gannon P2Xs for right now, but I think I might be in the beaded overstable putter camp for now, at least. And so this is another option. And this, man, this plastics just feels so good. And the Peak is a cool name, so I'm excited that these have come out. I'm really excited that as of right now, if you're watching this video for the unboxing, either later today or it's already up, or if you're watching this later, you can go and check out right now on the main channel, Bodanza Disc Golf. You can check out my full review throwing all these guys, but pretty fun unboxing. Experience was a little lackluster, just a normal box, but man, what do you expect? That you're buying discs, you're not really buying the box unboxing experience. Like, well, kind of maybe you are, but yeah, I think these are going to turn out very well. And this is going to be a ridiculously popular mold with Latitude throwers. Yeah, especially like pro throwers. And then I'm not sure where this is going to fit in, to be honest with you. I'm thinking more understable Honor, maybe even more than more overstable Saint, but that's just because that's the same line of discs. So we'll have to end up seeing. I'm really excited to go and throw these, and hope you enjoy getting out and throwing here soon as well. Thanks for watching, Frothlings, and I'll see you in the next one.